Hello. While conducting a See Through the Scriptures seminar at the women's prison in Canyon City, Colorado, I was approached by a young lady who asked me if she could speak with me in private. And so we stepped over to the side, and she began to tell me her story. She was the daughter of a minister in Colorado Springs, Colorado. And she told me of how that as a young girl, she used to always stay behind after every meeting at the church and sweep the church floors and put the songbooks back into the racks. She did this for only one reason, and that is because she loved the Lord with all of her heart. She just loved being with the Lord and in the Lord. Later, when she started going to school, instead of bringing her homework to her house to do, she would take the homework to the church, and there, sitting in the church pews, she would do her studies. You see, her whole life evolved around the church of the Lord. But when she became a teenager, she began to date a young man who was on drugs. He introduced her to drugs, and she said, "Brother Joe, from the very first time I tried them, I was hopelessly hooked." Later, after she broke up with the young man, she continued her drug usage. In order to pay for her drugs, she became a mule. Now, a mule is one who carries the drugs from the seller to the buyer. And one day she was driving her car along Interstate 70 there in Denver, Colorado. Her trunk was full of drugs. She herself had been using drugs. And she said that as she was driving along, she began to feel so guilty and so dirty because, after all, she was a Christian. And look at what she was doing with her Christian witness. She was transporting drugs. She said she could stand it no longer. And so she pulled her car over to the side of the interstate highway. And here, with the big semi-trucks flying by, she got out of the driver's side, walked around the car to the passenger side, opened the passenger door, got down on her knees in that grass and glass and tar, put her elbows in the passenger seat, and right there beside Interstate 70, she began to pray. And here is the prayer that she prayed. She prayed, "Lord, I know that I cannot be a Christian and keep living the way I'm living. So you lose, God. You lose." She slammed the door shut, walked around, got in the driver's seat, drove away, and never looked back. She ended up in prison in Canyon City, Colorado. Her preacher father and her mother came to see her. They wept. They said, "What did we do to deserve this? Where did we go wrong?" She said, "Brother Joe, it's nothing that they did or did not do. I had choices to make, and I made them." And then she reached out her hand, and in that hand was this lady's handkerchief. She said, "Brother Joe, this handkerchief has wiped away 1,000 tears." And she opened the handkerchief up, and inside the handkerchief was a piece of paper neatly folded. And on that piece of paper was her father's telephone number. She said, "When you get back to your motel tonight, I want you to call my father, and I want you to tell him that this night I have turned my face toward God." And my friends, that's one of the most beautiful telephone calls I was ever privileged to make. As that old minister got on the telephone, and when he learned where I had been and who I had been with, he called for his wife. They had an extension phone in the house. Both of them were weeping and praising God for their daughter and for that drug dealer's prayer that she prayed that night in my seminar that turned her from the life of drugs and back into the church of the Lord.